Okay, Mayor, you're good to go.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for welcoming us into your home tonight. This meeting is being held in conformity with the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice has been given to the newspaper and notice has been posted at Town Hall. The next open public meeting of this council will be in 2 weeks on April 15th. Welcome to the workshop meeting for Thursday, April 1st, 2021. Roll call, please.
Councilman Cannon. Councilman Hirsch.
Here.
Councilwoman Kelly.
Here.
Councilwoman Montone.
Here.
Councilman Swindell.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Martucci.
Here.
Mayor Tagliarini.
Yeah, thank you very much. Brian, would you want to walk us through this agenda, please?
Sure, we tried to, for some reason, it's light for tonight. I guess it's because of the holiday. But we have two items. One is the recycling tonnage grid application and designating the recycling coordinator. Recycling coordinator, again, as it has been in the past, will be Kathy Morello from my office. Kathy does a great job. Just a quick tidbit on that. Right now, she notified us, I believe everyone does know this already, but we, for our 2020 grant number, we will be receiving $48,000. And as of right now, our tonnage number that we are looking at, which is not totally confirmed yet, is up to 158,000 tons. So we're really doing very well in our recycling for the town and our tonnage grant. And again, this grant amount is one of the highest it's ever been and the highest in the area. So very proud that we have that resolution on for tonight. And number two is the 2021-2022 Aberdeen Employee Manual. This year, I do apologize for being late. I thought it would have been sooner, but myself and our management committee did review this very closely with our new labor attorneys. And we've added some of the things that are added to this new manual for this next 2 years. There's new COVID policy language we've added into the manual. We've had updates from the state and federal governments on the FMLA and NJLA. And then we had cleanup of other personnel language, just some things that were very vague and it could have went either way. So we tightened up some of that language. And some of those spots could have been anywhere from proper dress at the offices, how breaks are handled, and some minor things and hearings and stuff. So just trying to tighten it up a little bit, make it a little bit more stronger, and then having too many different interpretations in the manual. So that's on for approval tonight as well. And of course, you have one ordinance for second reading, which is the salary ordinance, which is a standard that we have to do yearly per state statute.
Thank you. Any questions from the dais here? Explanation? If not, I'll take a motion from the deputy mayor to move from the workshop to the regular meeting.
Mr. Mayor, my fellow council members, I'd like to make a motion to move from workshop into our regular session this evening on April
Second.
1st.
All in favor of that?
Aye.
Terrific. This meeting is being held in conformance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice has been given to the newspaper and notice of this meeting has been posted at Town Hall and Town Hall door. Next open public meeting will be in 2 weeks on April 15th, 2021. Welcome to the regular township meeting for April 1st. Roll call, please.
Councilman Cannon. Councilman Hirsch.
Here.
Councilwoman Kelly.
Here.
Councilwoman Montone.
Here.
Councilman Swindell.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Martucci.
Here.
Mayor Tagliarini.
Yeah, thank you very much. Now I'd like to have a moment of silence as we've been doing for such a long time, as we keep in our hearts and memories all the members of our armed forces who keep us safe here on our soil and on foreign soil to allow us to meet in public forums like this. We also think of the entire medical field as they are still fighting this dreaded disease. We are indebted to them and the scientists for trying to get us through this and back to normalcy and for your own personal intentions. Thank you, everyone. And I would like to ask you to say the Pledge of Allegiance, as we do also before every meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under
under
God,
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all so very much. At this point, we'll ask members of the council for any committee reports. Then we'll hand it off to the town manager, who will then ask the chief to ask for his report. And tonight, I'd just like to report on what the council and the township is doing about the vaccines. As you know, a couple of weeks ago, we made the 911 call to all the homes, and I think we received somewhere in 390 requests for vaccines. And I just couldn't believe it. But from the time I hung up that 911 call, the phones were ringing off the wall at Town Hall. Well, we got those 390 names. And with the cooperation and the working relationship that we have with our state senator, O'Scanlan, and the county Board of Health, especially the Department of the Aged, we have now to date made 100 vaccine appointments for our senior citizens. And I believe starting tomorrow, we're going to be calling up additional people, because I think we've received 40 more vaccines for next week. And of course, Brian, thank you very much for coordinating that with the county. I think back, and I've been serving with these wonderful people now quite a while, and it's great to build roads, and it's great to build parks, and it's great every time we do something, and getting a county park, all the things that we can think about. But when you call someone, and I know Margaret and Joe especially also heard this, and when you hear a sigh of relief or a thank you, such a sincere thank you for helping these people get a vaccine appointment, there's no better feeling. And I know Councilman Montone and I have spoken about this, and the deputy mayor, we speak about it, and we're just so happy we can do this. And again, it's because of the great help that we're having from Brian Russell. And part of this report, I want you all to know, whoever is listening in tonight, sometimes we all go make 25 appointments. And I want you to know that I know personally, it took me 45 calls to get the 25 appointments. So that indicates to us who have been calling that things are opening up. It's not perfect yet, but we're going to help it. We're going to help it get perfect. So I want to thank all the council people who've been making calls, because I don't think there's a finer feeling you could have than to hear the reaction of people when you get them this vaccine. So thank you to all of you, everyone at Town Hall who has been helping us get these appointments and making them. So again, just thank you so very much. And we hope to help a lot more people. I do notice some of you have reports, because we've spoken, but I don't know if everyone on has one. So I'll just say that I know Councilman Hirsch has a few words tonight about the county parks, especially our own.
Thank you, Mayor. As everyone knows or should know, I hope you know, Monmouth County Park System is one of the finest park systems in the country. It's extensive. There are multiple parks throughout the county that offer incredible programs. We here in Aberdeen are lucky enough and have been blessed with having been given one of the newest of the Monmouth County Parks over at Fenor Woods. This particular spring, we have a couple of programs going on at Fenor Woods I'd like to bring to all of our Aberdeen residents. And then any of those that are not from Aberdeen are welcome to join. First of all, on April 10th, between the hours of 10 a.m. and 12 p.m., there will be a program designed for children over the age of 10 to learn about childcare, babysitting, and safe child practices. There is a registration involved and there will be a fee involved. You should contact the Monmouth County Park System for that, for further information and to register. I can only tell you one thing, as a parent and now a grandparent, my kids went through that program many, many, many years ago. It was outstanding then, and I can only assume it's gotten better. The other great program that we have going on, for those that are interested, we've got a very interesting program where they're calling it Build Your Own Meditation Practice. It's from April 11th to May 2nd from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. It's also a pre-registration and a fee involved. It's to help you learn how to meditate and to teach others how to meditate. Very, very interesting for those that are into those types of programs. There are multiple other programs at all the other county parks, and I could be here all night going through them, and I'm sure you would prefer not. So use the park, make use of it, use what we offer you, use what the county offers you, use what the state offers you. Have a great night.
Thank you, Councilman. That's real good. Yeah, and we're very proud of Furneaux Woods. I also believe that Councilwoman Martone has something of the moment that just transpired today, right?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Tonight at approximately 6 o'clock, some of our youngest residents headed out of their homes to hunt for Easter eggs. Today was Aberdeen's second Easter egg hunt, brought right to the homes of families who registered to participate. 189 homes registered 335 children. It was also rumored that the Easter Bunny himself was seen around town joining in with the festivities. I want to thank the Department of Recreation, Jim Colabelli, and especially Patty Geyer, Kathy Morello, John Roman, Mattawa Aberdeen CERT, Aberdeen PD, Lisa Belletta, Ken Marr, Officer Jess McDougall, and of course, the mayor and council who helped make this event a success. I hope I didn't leave anybody out. I really hope I got everybody in the list. Thank you, everyone. This was really, really fun, and it was great to see kids so happy to get to do something that should be their rite of passage, but with the pandemic, it's kind of changed things, but I think they were happy doing it at their homes as well.
Terrific.
Thank
Thank you. And it was a lot of fun, and it was good to participate in that. Deputy Mayor, I think you have a few words also, right?
I'm not real sure, sir.
About the extended hours for the Public Works Garage, because we had to close down one day.
I apologize. Yes, I have that. Just a minute.
Sure.
Okay, please be advised that the Aberdeen DPW will be closed tomorrow, Wednesday, 3/31 through the holiday weekend. Garbage recycling will still be picked up. For assistance, please call the Aberdeen Police Dispatch at 732-566-2054. Full details, you can view this message on the website. All right. You can also text the tip Aberdeen, followed by your message to 88777, or submit an anonymous web tip. Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much. Any other members of don't have any reports for tonight? Okay, not seeing any. I'm going to hand it over to our manager, but I think you extended an hour for the Public Works yard next week, correct?
Yes, we actually just did it in the last couple hours. We finalized.
Yeah.
Apologize that most of council doesn't know about it yet, so I apologize for that. But since we are closed, since we were closed yesterday and we're closed for Friday and Saturday, we've worked out that we'll have extended hours till 6 p.m. This coming Wednesday, which is, April 6th. So we'll be open till 6 o'clock for anyone that wants to drop off recycling from, since it's going to be a nice weekend, it looks like, and Monday and Tuesday are going to be nice. So if you have stuff, we will have it open for Wednesday night till 6 p.m.
Great. Thank you, Brian. And any other reports from you tonight?
I have nothing else, so I'm going to turn it over to our police chief, Chief Guyer, if he has anything, and or especially even if he has updates on the COVID numbers.
Yes, I do, Mayor and Council and Manager. The current numbers as of 3/31 are 1717 total, 218 active, and 81 new cases since 3/25, and that error margin stays at 20 plus. So the numbers, like you were talking earlier in the day, are definitely rising. Not real fast, but they are rising.
Thank you, Chief.
The manager is also right, though. When these numbers come in raw, it takes a little while to shrink them down to what the actual numbers are for Aberdeen because of the zip codes. I'd just like to take this time. I know Councilwoman Montone said something, but I'd like to thank the mayor and council for helping out today, because I know that it went a lot smoother than last year. Last year was a little crazy, but after talking to some of the people involved, they said it went real well. So I'd like to take this time to thank them as well for making everything happen as smooth as it was today.
Thank you, Chief. Chief, I know if we were at town hall with a lot more folks, I'm going to just assume that someone would have asked this question. Our numbers are not reflecting any out of the ordinary police calls that you're making to any large parties or gatherings or anything like that. Would I be correct in that, or?
Yes, you are correct, because if we had something like that, I would advise the manager.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Chief, very, very much. Please be safe, and extend my best to your entire force for everything that they're doing during this pandemic. They're doing a great job, and I know we rely heavily on them. So thank you, Chief, very much.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome, sir. Any other reports?
All good, Mayor.
Thank you so much. We'll move ahead to agenda item 5, which is the hearing of the citizens on agenda items only. It's not a big agenda, but there still could be some questions, and we'll field them right now if you identify yourself to Brian.
Mr. Perry, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Tom Perry on Cashel Speedway. Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Questions concerning resolution number 2021-62, which is the recycling grant resolution. Within the resolution there, it talks about timely filing of an application for grant money. Do we know what the deadline is for that filing?
I do not have that on me, no.
Okay. With respect to the grant money itself, what does Aberdeen use the grant money for?
There's many different aspects they can use it for. A lot of it goes into recycling education. Our coordinator does do a couple things with the school on recycling education. They bring in a couple different speakers. We kind of were just talking about it, kind of laughed. I think almost every elementary school does it, but there's a recycling magician that goes around the state of New Jersey. So a lot of towns do bring in this magician to talk about recycling. You can also use it for, if need be, you can use it for staffing if they do anything with recycling. And you can also use it for recycling containers, more anything to do with basically with the recycling outreach. A lot of what we use it for is for the education within the school system.
So it's fair to say that that grant money has to be restricted to a recycling purpose or use. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
And just for everybody's edification, I am the recycling magician in my household. Every other week, I take it to the curb and it disappears. Does any of the recycling grant money, is permitted use for payment of any stipends or salary for the recycling coordinator?
I believe it does. And for the coordinator, yes, we can use a portion of that.
Does the recycling coordinator have to be certified?
Yes, they do.
And is our recycling coordinator certified?
Yes, she is.
Other than filing the grant application, could you just briefly give me the duties and responsibilities of the recycling coordinator?
Wow.
Or if they're on the website someplace, just direct me to there. I'll
I
take a
don't
look at
think
it.
they're on the website. I can give you a few things and then I'd have to really pull the actual full job description. I don't carry that one on me. But a lot of that is that she has to do almost a monthly report of the different, basically almost every household of what we're getting through that we send down to the recycling. I don't want to say, it's not the center, but the recycling depot that everything goes to. We have to take our weights and measures from there. And also the other big one is that we have to get the recycling from all of our commercial properties, either businesses, condos, apartments. She has to be in contact with all of them as well, because I know that she's doing that right now, to make sure that we get all their numbers. Because even though we may not pick up their recycling, they still have to keep their recycling tonnage and then report that to the town so we can put that into the state for our numbers, because it still is part of the Aberdeen numbers. After that, Mr. Perry, I'd have to get you a little bit more detail on that because I don't have all that in front of me.
All right.
And we're well beyond the agenda items now.
All right, that's a fair point. Mr. Mayor, I could continue on this, or I could just ask the questions during the open session, but I just thought for the interest of time.
Why don't you continue, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Actually, you answered one of my questions, Mr. Russell, was whether or not the Aberdeen got credit for the business recyclables. Is the same true for the school district?
Yes, and the school too. Yep.
Okay. Now, the last meeting, we discussed the negative tonnage amount. Was there ever a time when Aberdeen wasn't quote unquote paying a negative tonnage amount?
Absolutely, Mr. Perry. In the early days of recycling, when it became hip and cool and we all so seriously bought into it for the right reasons, it was. And then over the course of the years, and I'm sure, Tom, you've seen it too on 60 Minutes in 2020 and all the other news shows, the stockpiling of plastic bottles here on our docks, where it used to go over to the Far East, is no longer a market. And then we saw it gradually becoming less and less profitable. And that's why it's now a negative. And that's the long and short of it.
Thank you, Mayor. Do we know ballpark what we were getting paid when we were getting a dollar amount on the tonnage?
It's varied from year to year
Yeah.
and even month to month based on market forces. And that would be true for the whole state of New Jersey. It would probably be true for the whole United States.
Would that's a fair point. Would there be any resolutions then similar to the one that was adopted last meeting that would indicate what Aberdeen or the recycling vendor was paying Aberdeen?
I think Brian could probably find those numbers or get them from Angela.
Yeah, I don't have that.
History. Yeah, I think you could get some past history numbers, Tom. Mr. Perry, sorry.
No worries. And Mr. Mayor, you bring up a good point too, with respect to the stockpiling of recyclables on our barges, on our docks and everything. Does Aberdeen know, does Monmouth County know where the recycling goes today?
No.
No.
No, that's all regulated by the NJDEP.
Okay, but the question is whether or not we know. I didn't
No,
really
you don't
care who's
know.
right. Okay,
You
thank
turn it
you.
over to the recycling company and they're the marketer at that point.
Okay,
And then
and
they're
then,
responsible by their licensing to dispose of it or sell it, market it in accordance with New Jersey regulations, which are administered by the DEP.
thank you. And then lastly, I think it was an early January meeting. Councilman Cannon, which I don't think is present tonight, was inquiring about, he had expressed an interest to see what Aberdeen's recycling stats were for the past 5 years. And there were some discussions, if I recall correctly, about there was a spreadsheet being developed and they're going to share that spreadsheet. Is that spreadsheet, was it completed? Is that available for the public?
No, we're not completed yet.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the indulgence to ask me all my recycling questions in this one session.
It
Thank
made,
you.
it made perfect sense. Thank you, Mr. Perry.
Thank you.
So, thank you. And so we're going to move on to agenda item number 6, Going to call on Councilman Hirsch for a motion, please.
Councilman Hirsch, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. The dog was all noisy. Mr. Mayor, Mr. Deputy Mayor, and my fellow councilmen, I'd like to make a motion to accept the following minutes in one motion. Joint meeting with Madawan of 11/5, the workshop, regular and executive meetings of November 5th, December 3rd, December 17th of 2020.
Second.
Aaron, you're muted.
Sorry. Councilman Hirsch,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kelly,
Yes. Yes.
Councilwoman Montone,
Yes.
Councilman Swindell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci,
Yes.
Mayor Taglerini.
Yes, thank you very much. Moving on to 7A. Ordinance number 2, 20-21, introduced and passed on first reading by title on March 18, 2021, and published according to law, is now being taken up for further consideration and public hearing. Affidavit of the publication of this ordinance in the Asbury Park Press of March 23rd, 2021 will be submitted, and is noted that a copy of the ordinance is posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and copies were available to the general public upon request. Madam Clerk.
An ordinance amending an ordinance entitled, an ordinance fixing the salaries and wages and fringe benefits of various officials, officers, and employees of the Township of Aberdeen, County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey.
Thank you. At this point, I would like to open this up to the public for any comments for or against the final adoption of this ordinance.
Mr. Perry.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes.
Briefly, in comparison, the ordinance 2-2021 to last year's 6-2020, I know that there's some new positions that have been added to the ordinance, or at least to Aberdeen's roster. Do those positions have to be authorized by the council?
Could you explain a little further? I'm not sure I understand the question.
Okay. For example, the last year, there was no position for Assistant Director of Public Parks and Recreation, and this year there is a position for that, and they eliminated the position, which was a part-time position, for Assistant Director. So that's one example. So the question is, does the township have to authorize the creations of new positions within the town?
I'd like to take a shot at that. Of course, almost everything is directly falls back to the council, Mr. Perry, because of the budget system. So of course, it's discussed, wants and needs are discussed. And of course, it becomes a budgetary item. So the answer is it would fall on mayor, council, and management.
Right, so I guess that by adopting the ordinance, and then it gets the tacit approval by the council for the creation of the new positions. Okay, fair enough. Last year, staying with the assistant director of Parks and Rec, the part-time position last year was had a range from 10 to 25,000, and now the assistant director goes from $48,000 to $90,000. Is there any reason or explanation for the discrepancy or the increase between the part-time position and now a full-time assistant director? Are there certain additional duties or responsibilities that would justify that salary range?
Mayor, if I can speak?
Please.
Yeah, what we did was we took 2 part-time positions, now made it one full-time position. So it's now taking 2 job descriptions, adding it into one. And then when we do look at the minimum MAC ranges, we kind of take an average throughout Monmouth County. Usually we do surveys from other towns to see what those positions are making, and then we make up a min-max for that position. And then the salary has to stay within that range for that person or whoever's taking that position.
Is the assistant director of Parks and Rec currently being held?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Thank you. There's a board secretary, office manager for, I guess, your construction office there. And then there's also office manager, planning, zoning board. Are those duplicative management positions, or would they actually be filled by two different people?
No, they're filled actually by one person. Right now, one person handles all of those titles right now, and it's done in-house. The board secretary position could actually be a position that's in-house or out of house. So right now it's held in, so we have it kept in as a title that way. If that employee or the board wanted to change, because it's only a yearly appointment, and wanted to go in a different direction, that employee still holds the other three titles, and they will revert back to the position previous that you were looking at.
So the employee that holds both positions, does that mean that the salary range is you add those together? So in other
No.
words,
No.
Okay, thank you. The public information officer there increased from last year by $13,000 from $57,000 to $70,000. Is there any basis for the increase for the increase?
Again, since this is done on a yearly basis and we are changing the positions, we did a salary survey and also looked at other PIOs throughout the county and state, and then restructured the numbers.
Does Aberdeen currently use any outside vendors for public affairs or public information?
We do use an outside vendor for printing and other public relations that work in conjunction with our public information officer.
Given the salary increase to the public information officer and your reference you're mentioning of changing the duty positions there, is there any intent or plan on Aberdeen to cut ties with any outside vendors and keep it all in-house?
It all can happen. It could happen at any time. We always evaluate. Remember, our vendor is a professional service, so it's a year-to-year contract, and that comes to the mayor and council and does reviewing with me. So then at the end of the year, after we put out our RFPs, we would review everything and see where it's at. If our present PIO is handling more of the duties, or are they in conjunction together? If it still works out better to have the outside source. Right now, our outside vendor does do some things that I don't think the township is ready to take on inside at this moment, because we don't have the equipment to handle. But since it's a professional service and it's a year-to-year contract, it's always able to be reviewed at the end of the year if we want to do services again.
Thank you. On Schedule B, which is the part-time positions, there's a position for a deputy manager. Is that position currently filled?
No, well, as far as I know, no. It's been on here since I got here.
Which I'm trying to, is there any difference between the deputy manager and the administrative assistants to the township manager? Would the deputy manager have different responsibilities or duties than?
I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Perry.
No, I'm finished, thank you.
No, I would probably say yes. I mean, the administrative assistant does do I have to say is our right hand for anyone that has an administrative assistant. They're almost basically they're also the office managers. I would say if a deputy manager was ever filled or given the extra duties, yes, there would be probably the job description on that is much more intense than the administrative assistants to either a titled person or just for that department.
There's also a part-time in-house engineer position, part-time. Is that currently filled by anybody?
No, it is not.
No.
How about the park and enforcement officer, part-time? Is that filled?
No, it is not.
Clean communities is a part-time position. Who is that filled?
Yes, that is filled at this time.
And who fills that position?
That position has been filled and has been filled before I got here, and that is actually done by the special events coordinator and now the deputy parks director.
Okay, and what about, I guess the recycling coordinator would be the recycling coordinator?
Correct.
Okay. With respect to the ordinance, you have the minimum and the maximum ranges. Who ultimately is responsible for establishing the salary for each employee listed here on an annual basis?
Typically, as far as, and the lawyer can change that if I'm wrong, but typically, especially in this form, it's usually the manager that sets the minimum maxes. And then of course, like I said, it goes on the ordinance for a mayor and council to approve.
That's correct.
Are stipends that are paid to anybody on this ordinance, are they included within the cap or the maximum range? Or can they, if the stipend exceeds the maximum range, is that permissible?
Stipends can be outside because they're non-pensionable and they're only year to year, so they can be removed from their salary. It's not part of their base.
Is there anywhere on Aberdeen Township's website where the public can look and see what is actually being paid? Other than this ordinance where you can get the range, but they can actually identify what salary is being paid?
Not quite sure. I have to look myself. I don't think so, but I don't know for a fact.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, Council, that's all I have tonight. I appreciate your time and entertaining my question.
Mayor, you're muted.
Yeah, the phone was ringing. I didn't want to burden anybody. Thank you, Mr. Perry. Always welcomed and always great questions. Now that we have closed the public portion, any other questions, I should say, or comments? Mr. Russell, do we see any hands or thumbs or?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, great. So now I'd like to call on our deputy mayor for a motion for 7A.
Mayor and my fellow council members, I'd like to make a motion that ordinance number 2/2021 be finally passed and adopted, and that notice of its passage and adoption be published by the title in the April 8th, 2021 issue of the Asbury Park Press.
Second.
Second, great. Roll call, please.
Councilman Hirsch,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kelly,
Yes.
Councilwoman Montone,
Yes.
Councilman Swindell,
yes,
Deputy Mayor Martucci,
Yes,
Mayor Taglerini.
Yes, thank you very much. Councilwoman Montone, would you kindly take care of number 8, please?
Yes. Mayor Taglerini, Deputy Mayor Martucci, and fellow council members, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda consisting of resolution number 2021-62 and 2021-63.
Second,
Councilman Hirsch,
yes.
Councilwoman Kelly,
Yes.
Councilwoman Montone,
Yes.
Councilman Swindell,
yes,
Deputy Mayor Martucci,
yes,
Mayor Taglerini.
Yes, thank you very much. We'll go to agenda item number 9, which is the hearing of from the citizens, correspondence, petitions, new business. And please indicate to our manager if there's anything at this point in time.
Nothing at this time, Mayor.
Okay, thank you all very much. Now, I'm going to ask this of our attorney and the manager, because there might have been an executive tonight. Is there no executive tonight?
Mayor, I have no executive from the manager's side unless the
right.
attorney or any council needs it.
Okay, so the chair will move a motion that we will amend the agenda by removing number 10. Can I have a second on that?
Second,
Well, okay. Can that be a roll call or a voice?
Roll call, please.
Good. Roll call to take 10 off. Go ahead.
Councilman Hirsch,
yes.
Councilwoman Kelly, Councilwoman Montone.
Yes.
Councilman Swindell,
yes,
Deputy Mayor Martucci,
yes.
Mayor
Yes.
Taglerini.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you very much. Before we adjourn, let me say that at the beginning of the meeting, I should have wished everyone who observes a very happy Passover. And so I'll lump it up with, lump it into the Easter holiday and wish everyone a happy Easter if you observe. So my best wishes to all of our residents on what they are observing this particular week. That's all I believe I have, and I'd like to take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Good, second on that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ladies
Aye.
and gentlemen, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us tonight. Please be healthy. Please continue to do everything in your power to stop this COVID spread. I think we're all getting a little antsy to get out. The weather's really turning beautiful, but we still have to mask up, social distance, wash those hands, and do everything in your power to stay healthy, because we want you back here every meeting. So thank you all very much. Have a very pleasant evening and a wonderful weekend. Thank you.
Night.
Good night,
Happy
everybody. Have a
holidays
great
to all.
holiday.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Okay.
Enjoy.
Good night. Can you stop record at this point or no?
Yeah, I'm recording. I'm trying to end, and it's stuck on here. I'm trying to cut it out here.
Okay. You got us all